Hey everybody, happy May! I hope you are doing well. I know this video is coming out on the 5th, but since we're all sci-fi fantasy nerds here, most likely, May the 4th be with you. I did actually use my TNG Earl Grey hot coffee mug on that day just to throw in a little bit of chaos because it was funny to me. Are you more of a Star Wars person or a Star Trek person? Leave me a note in the comments, I'll bet you can guess which one I am a fan of. Anyway, May has some spectacular books coming out, so let's dive in. First is Ballad and Dagger by Daniel José Older. This YA urban fantasy has magic, murder, mayhem, and music. I absolutely love that urban fantasies are coming back, and then you throw in a really strong Brooklyn community vibe and a romance, and I am sold. Although I do have to admit there is a little bit of irony here for me. So the story is about a group of people that have to escape because their island has sunk back into the ocean, so they escape to New York City, which, don't get me wrong, Brooklyn is awesome, New York City is fabulous. I'm just saying, you're taking some big risks when you've already seen the worst that can happen to an island. New York 2140 by Kim Stanley Robinson. Anyone? Another recommendation for you, although that's a bit older. But that's beside the point. I love his ending copy line, which says, "A world where magic, myth, and gods reign over the streets of Brooklyn." It's so powerful, it's going to be epic. I can't wait. And it came out on the 3rd, so you can already go get it right now. Next is Twin Crowns by Katherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. This, interestingly enough, is pitched as a high-stakes fantasy rom-com featuring two princesses who were separated at birth and are fighting for the crown, both against each other and against worldly evil. Now, of course, the princesses fighting for a crown against a worldly evil, that's not too different of a hook, but it's the rom-com aspect that got me. You're following these two sisters, one of whom is trying to steal into the palace but keeps getting distracted by a palace guard and has her own haywire magic, and the other princess who's been kidnapped but is kind of falling for her kidnapper and is also sort of falling in love with the world outside of the palace. It just seems to have such a good vibe to it. Action, adventure, and comedic moments past just the usual sort of banter or snark that you normally get in a fantasy adventure. It actually kind of reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean, at least the first one. I was rewatching it this week because of all of the Johnny Depp stuff, and I was thinking about how that story does a really good job of being intense, full of action and danger and urgency, but it also has a good bit of slapstick comedy that doesn't feel out of place. It flows very naturally, and I love it. I wish we had more like that, and it sounds like this book is going to be sort of the story equivalent of that type of movie, and so I'm really excited. I will say, because of the point of view in this, it is a bit out of my realm. I do love dual point of view, but generally in YA, I tend to like either one main character or dual point of view between the main hero and heroine. This has the two main characters being the sisters, so I'll be really interested to see how that's balanced, because I feel like when that happens a lot of times, I end up rooting for one or the other, or liking one storyline better than the other, which is always a risk when you have dual point of view sort of, well, dueling like that. So I'm really excited to check it out. We'll have to check back in if you guys are going to read it, and we'll compare and see which sister we end up rooting for. I have my suspicions which one I'm going to root for, but we'll see. This comes out on May 17th. Next on my list is City of Orange by David Yoon. This sounds phenomenal, but it sounds like it's going to be so heartbreaking. This is the story of a man who wakes up in a post-apocalyptic world with no idea who he is or how he got there, and he has to figure out how to survive and find answers. It's pitched as perfect for fans of The Martian, so it sounds like it's going to focus more on the survival aspect and watching him try to figure out how to sort of adapt and live in this world. So I'm very intrigued by that, because I absolutely loved The Martian. But I do have to be honest, this is a book that I'm most likely going to buy and then put on a shelf until I know that I have a few days to read it and then recover from the emotional roller coaster that I'm sure it's going to put me on, or a time when I know I'm going to have a comfort read directly after it, so I can make sure to recover as quickly as possible, because it sounds like it's going to be fabulous, but again, like I said, heartbreaking. But if you check it out first, let me know how it is. As long as no dogs die, which I don't know if it has a dog. Looking at you here, I Am Legend. We will be fine. Very excited about it. And it comes out on the 24th. Finally, I'm really excited for Together We Burn by Isabel Ibañez. This is the story of a flamenco dancer who is the daughter of a famous dragon hunter. But when tragedy strikes their family and she is the only one left, she has to go on an adventure to try to find the last great dragon hunter to train her to take back her inheritance. Does anybody remember the beginning of The Secret Garden, the one from the 90s where she's young and she's upstairs, her parents are having this great party and an earthquake hits and all of the lamps fall over and there's fire everywhere and everyone dies but her, and so she becomes this orphan who has to sort of fend for herself in this very odd world? Looking at the cover and reading the copy really reminded me of the beginning of that movie, of that scene. I'm interested to know if maybe that was an inspiration for her, whether she realized it or not. Either way, it'll be really awesome to see how all that plays out and dive into this story on the 31st. What are you reading this month? Which of these books are going on your TBR? Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any videos. Next week we are diving back into the plot structure series that I have going on with the New Situation part of Michael Haig's 6-stage plot structure. And until next week, keep reading.